Humanitarian aid stands as a testament to our shared humanity, a lifeline extended to those in profound need. Its very essence lies in saving lives, restoring dignity, and fostering resilience over the long term. Think of it as a triad, providing immediate essentials like food, water, and shelter, ensuring access to healthcare to stave off disease, and finally, offering protection to the most vulnerable, those often caught in the crossfire of conflict or natural disasters. And yet, the machinery of aid is plagued by significant challenges. Consider donor fatigue, a term that looms large in every conversation about funding. When crises prolong or multiply, donor nations waver in their commitments. It is as if compassion suppresses itself under the weight of sheer exhaustion. Meanwhile, geopolitical interests distort the allocation of resources. A government's strategic priorities too often outweigh the actual humanitarian needs on the ground. As an illustrative case, the International Committee of the Red Cross finds its work imperiled today, facing a budgetary shortfall of 25%. Staff outcry suggests mismanagement within, but the broader picture clearly points to structural inefficiencies across the sector. Addressing these issues demands deliberate action. First comes diversification, broadening the pool of donors beyond traditional Western states. Imagine the potential of engaging private sectors, emerging economies, and even leveraging crowdfunding on digital platforms. Second, the mechanisms by which funds are deployed must evolve. Pooled funds and impact bonds offer innovative opportunities, creating flexibility in how we respond to emergencies. And finally, we cannot ignore the value of long-term planning. Multi-year funding models grant humanitarian organizations a rare commodity: predictability. It allows them to shift focus from reaction to preparation, building resilience in the face of uncertainty. Let us not forget, the success of these strategies relies not only on innovation, but on trust. Without transparency and accountability, organizations risk losing the very confidence of those willing to help. Afghanistan offers a piercing insight into the compounding layers of a humanitarian crisis. On one hand, the earthquakes in Herat have devastated entire communities. Imagine villages where out of 150 inhabitants, merely 5 remain alive. These tragedies do more than shatter physical landscapes. They unravel the fragile social fabric essential for recovery. On another front lies the ongoing returnee crisis. With a projected influx of nearly 1 million Afghans expelled from Pakistan, we see fragile communities further tested to their limits. Their already limited access to clean water, food, and basic livelihoods now faces additional strain. Hunger is a specter that looms large, and here stands the World Food Programme as a critical but depleted sentinel. Recent aid cuts affecting 10 million Afghans reflect an alarming reality: global donor fatigue slicing at the capacity for consistent relief. What we need to reflect on is how nations like the United States approach these challenges. Resilient strategies aimed at supporting Afghan farmers or empowering women to contribute to the workforce reveal a concerted attempt to move beyond immediate aid toward long-term recovery. And yet, these efforts demand resources, a commitment that continues to waver with political winds. Broader still is the question: how do geopolitical tensions redefine aid itself? Take, for example, Gaza, where strict conditions on humanitarian assistance leave civilians to struggle under catastrophic shortages. It is no exaggeration to call this a human-inflicted tragedy. While papers document the shipments of food and medicine delayed at borders, each passing day leaves hospitals without critical supplies and shelters without sustenance. The through line in these crises remains clear. Resources are scarce, but so too is the global will to address suffering when it operates beyond the boundaries of immediate convenience or strategic interest. As we draw this episode to a close, let us pivot to the future. A future where technology intertwines with humanity to reform how aid is conceived, allocated, and delivered. Artificial intelligence stands at the threshold of this transformation. Tools like the Global Peace Index and the Views Project illuminate how data-driven predictions can forecast crises with unprecedented accuracy. Imagine knowing weeks in advance the heightened probability of conflict or famine. It has the potential to shift humanitarian aid from reactive to proactive, a remarkable prospect indeed. But, as the Roman philosopher Seneca reminds us, a sword never kills anybody, it is a tool in the killer's hand. The same can be said of AI. Without ethical rigor, we face risks that we cannot afford to overlook. Biases encoded in algorithms, often reflecting the prejudices of the datasets they are built upon, can skew outcomes and deepen inequities. Transparency, that most elusive of virtues in technological advancement, becomes central. Without it, how can organizations be held accountable when harm is inflicted, intentionally or otherwise? Yet solutions are within reach. Steps toward explainable AI models provide a window into how decisions are made, fostering trust and ensuring accountability. Institutions like the Peace Research Institute, Oslo advocate for collaboration, bringing together researchers, policymakers, and civilian organizations to regulate and refine these tools. This unity is essential, for without a coalition of minds, ethical and operational reform will remain a distant ambition. Ultimately, the imperative lies in using AI not as a crutch, but as a compass, guiding us toward more informed, timely, and equitable interventions. This is not just a technological revolution, it is a moral one, demanding of us the highest standards of responsibility. And in that responsibility lies hope. Hope that one day, humanitarian aid will no longer struggle under the weight of inefficiency and scarcity, but instead rise on the wings of innovation and integrity. And so, dear listeners, as we reflect on today's discourse, may we take to heart the balance AI promises, a harmony of altruism and algorithm. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, let us remain mindful of our shared obligation to humanity. Goodbye.